Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're having a good week. The weekend is here, never a bad thing. So, two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua has, according to Eddie Hearn anyway, he's been steered away from the Daniel Dubois rematch, which was supposedly going to be on the 22nd of February. You don't need me to tell you what happened in the first fight. Joshua got smashed to bits. Completely one-sided drubbing, bar maybe 10 seconds before he got knocked out, where he seemed to sort of buzz and push back Dubois a little bit, and then Dubois suddenly, bang, it was all over for the 10 count, not a TKO, a proper KO. Anyway, got the magic tablet here, so let me read you something. Hearn said, "We had a very awkward call." Phone call, he means. And this was between Eddie Hearn and Joshua's management and trainer Ben Davison. And it was stuff that Hearn says AJ didn't want to hear. He wanted to fight on February the 22nd and basically was told that there's no way you can start camp and be 100% for February the 22nd physically. AJ apparently has a few sort of niggling injuries. There's nothing major, says Hearn. There's 2 or 3 issues that he had a little bit in camp, but also after the fight as well. And they said you need to come back in May, June, and he didn't want to do it. He wanted to fight on February the 22nd, but unfortunately, we kind of had to overrule him on this and say no, because we can't afford not to get this right. If you get beaten again by Daniel Dubois, you have to seriously consider your future. We've got one last chapter in his career that we need to make sure we get 100% spot on. So when he comes back in May or June or whatever, that's going to be, whatever that's going to be, you've got to be physically, mentally 100% ready. He wants to rematch Daniel so bad. As much as it burns people, AJ is a pretty big name, says Hearn. Still, he can walk into any fight he wants, but we've got to get it right. We can't afford to lose again. I think every fighter should want to avenge the defeat. At the same time, the Fury fight is the biggest fight in the sport, but let's see how it goes on December the 21st. Now, a lot of people, myself included, you don't need to be, it's not rocket surgery. You could tell he didn't want the rematch. Why the hell would he? And of course, especially when you've got the potential for the AJ Fury fight, which is a colossal cash cow, Even if Fury loses to Usyk, it's still a massive fight. And with Dubois, I mean, he's 27 now? You could argue, he's very much a different generation, the next generation to Fury and Joshua, because they're both in their mid-30s. So perhaps if Joshua was to beat Fury, then maybe he'd go after Dubois again, or vice versa. Maybe if Fury beat Joshua, he'd go after Dubois. But fighting your generational contemporaries is probably the right thing to do, I think. And I mean, all right, I'm not going to disbelieve Hearn when he says Joshua's got niggles and so on. Most boxers have niggles at any point in time. You very rarely find a boxer going into a fight without some sort of slight injury or something that could have been better. And of course, when you get to that elite level where you're able to train full time, live the life, you've got a bit of money behind you, you've got the right connections, the margin of difference at the top is extremely slight. All right. And it doesn't surprise me at all. I think even if AJ didn't have these supposed injuries, he probably, Hearn and Ben Davison maybe would have steered him away from Dubois in the next fight. But that's not to say it won't happen in the long-term future. Now, I watched, after I read that article, by the way, was on Boxing News online. The Boxing News is the trade paper in Britain, and that was I read that online. But on TalkSport, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Oliver and the other bloke whose name I can never remember, who seems like the nicest one of the lot, well, they're all right, I suppose. I shouldn't slag them off. I've never met any of them. But Spencer Oliver was saying he was agreeing with Simon Jordan, as he often does, and saying Oh, no, I definitely think AJ should have taken the fight next, the Dubois fight next. Well, why? Why? Because if there's a bigger fight out there financially, and don't get me wrong, look, don't get me wrong, I would have had more respect if Joshua had taken the Dubois fight with the second Dubois fight immediately. But he did that with Usyk, and look where it got him. And Usyk never beat the crap out of AJ like Dubois did. So I can understand sometimes, discretion is the better part of valor. And perhaps Joshua does want the fight, and his team have just said, no, you can't have it. In which case, that might not be a bad thing, because as Simon Jordan said on TalkSport, Joshua's always said, I'm the captain of my own ship. Yeah, but even the top people, whether you're a boxer, whether you're the CEO of a company, whether you're the head of a trade union, whether you're whatever, they have advisors for a reason, and that reason is that not everyone knows everything. And also, from the outside looking in, you can get a different perspective, which, if it's the right person giving you that perspective, is always worth listening to. So I think it will probably be, they'll probably aim for Fury Joshua. Maybe Joshua will have an interim fight just to sort of get his confidence back, or just to shake off a few of the undoubted psychological demons that are probably in his head over that Dubois smash up. I would think Usyk would beat Fury again, although that is not a foregone conclusion. A lot of people are saying that's a foregone conclusion. It is not a foregone conclusion. But if I'm right and Usyk beats Fury, I think we'll probably see Fury versus Joshua and Dubois versus Usyk in a rematch. And who knows, with Uncle Frank and Auntie Eddie's connections, both those fights could end up on the Riyadh season at the same card. How about that then? That'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Yeah, but as things stand, I think the last man standing will probably be Usyk. But that's not to say that, again, I've said this so many times before, but if you follow this channel, you'll know that I don't care about defeats. I want to see good fights. And just because someone loses a contest, it doesn't mean that it's over for them. Now, admittedly, the Dubois beating was so awful that it is the type of fight where you're never the same again. Just like Devin Haney taking a beating off Garcia, or Spence taking a beating off Crawford, or, you do get the feeling sometimes that, they leave something in the ring, of course. But we'll see. We will see. It'd be interesting to see how Usyk Fury 2 goes as well. That'll give us a better gauge as to where, if Fury does meet AJ, where they'll be at. But let me know your opinion, of course, as always. Thank you for your time to watch the video. Please like the video if you liked it. And if you're new to the channel, you could subscribe. That would be a big deal too to me, because we want to build the channel up. All right. Thank you very much. I will read your comments and answer as many as I can. In the meanwhile, welcome to the weekend. Bye for now.